Okay, so you know how much pressure there is on tech and cyber leaders at SMBs?
Yeah, definitely.
Like you're always being asked to do more with less.
Constantly, right.
Exactly. And it feels like everybody's talking about AI now and how it can like boost productivity.
And they're not wrong. Like, there's some pretty impressive stats out there.
Right. Like I saw one study that said AI-powered automation could boost productivity by up to 40%.
Yeah, I saw that one too. It's pretty compelling stuff.
For sure. So it seems like a no-brainer, right? But here's the thing. Only about 20% of SMBs actually have AI risk management frameworks in place.
Yeah, and that's a big problem. It makes them super vulnerable.
Especially compared to bigger companies, like 50% of them have those frameworks.
So that leaves a lot of SMBs exposed to, data breaches, privacy issues, and even like just bad decisions based on flawed AI.
Right. So we wanted to do this deep dive to give you like a practical roadmap for implementing AI safely in your SMB.
And how to actually get those benefits without, shooting yourselves in the foot.
Exactly. So we'll talk about the specific risks, why this is so important for SMBs, and what concrete steps you can take.
Sounds good. Let's get into it.
Okay, so first off, let's talk about why this is so crucial for you as tech and cyber leaders at SMBs.
Well, I think it's important to remember that the drive for efficiency in SMBs, it's not just a nice to have, it's often like a matter of survival.
Totally. And AI can seem like this like magic bullet to help you do more with less.
Exactly. But you got to be careful because neglecting the security aspect can completely wipe out those gains and actually create even more problems.
Oh, for sure. You could end up in a worse position than you started.
Exactly.
Right.
And, SMBs, they often have lean teams, people wearing multiple hats. So you really can't afford to waste time and resources cleaning up a mess that could have been prevented.
Okay, so let's say you're an SMB and you decide to go all in on AI without thinking about security. What are some of the potential consequences?
Well, first of all, data breaches,
Yeah.
those can be really damaging for any company, but especially for an SMB.
Yeah, you don't have the same resources as a big corporation to handle something like that.
Right. It can lead to huge financial losses,
Yeah.
reputational damage. You could even face legal ramifications.
And let's not forget the disruption to your business. Like if your systems are down or you have to deal with a PR nightmare, that can really set you back.
Absolutely. And then you have things like algorithm manipulation where hackers can basically mess with your AI systems.
Oh yeah, like that example I was reading about where a hacker was able to subtly change some data points in an inventory management system.
Oh, well.
And it led to like massive stockouts and overstocking because the AI was making decisions based on bad data.
Ugh, that's a nightmare scenario right there.
It is, and it's not just about external threats either. You also have to worry about internal risks like accidental data leaks or employees misusing AI tools.
That's why it's so important to have clear policies and training in place.
For sure. So how can SMBs start thinking about AI security in a practical way?
Well, the first step is to understand the specific risks involved.
Okay, so what are some of the biggest ones?
Well, one of the most common is data privacy vulnerabilities. AI systems need a lot of data to function, right?
Yeah, that's how they learn and make decisions.
Exactly. And that data can include sensitive customer information, employee records, financial data, all kinds of stuff.
So if that data isn't protected properly, it's a huge risk.
Right. And, unlike big companies, SMBs might not have dedicated data governance teams or the resources to implement really sophisticated anonymization techniques.
So what can they do?
Well, there's still things they could do, like data encryption access controls, things like that.
But it sounds like they really need to be careful about what data they're feeding into these AI systems in the first place.
Absolutely. And that kind of leads into the next risk, which is algorithm manipulation.
Oh, right. Like that inventory example we talked about earlier.
Exactly. So this is where someone intentionally tries to mess with the data that an AI system is using to train or make decisions.
And that can lead to all sorts of problems, right?
Like the AI could start making biased decisions or giving inaccurate results or even leaking sensitive data.
So how do you prevent that?
Well, you need to make sure that the data you're using is clean and reliable in the first place.
Okay, so data quality is really important.
Huge. And you also need to have ways to detect and respond to these attacks, like intrusion detection systems or anomaly detection algorithms.
So it's kind of like a multi-layered approach. You need to secure the data itself, and then you also need to have systems in place to monitor for any suspicious activity.
Exactly. And then another big risk is intellectual property exposure.
Okay, what's that?
So this is especially relevant for SMBs that are using generative AI.
Which is like AI that can create new content, right?
Yeah, like text images, code, even music.
Cool. So what's the risk there?
Well, if you're feeding proprietary information into these systems, there's a chance that that information could end up in the output.
Oh, wow. So like if you're using AI to write marketing copy and you accidentally feed it your secret pricing strategy, that could be bad.
Yeah, exactly. Or if you're using AI to generate code and you feed it some of your proprietary algorithms, those could end up in the public domain.
Yikes. So how do you prevent that?
Well, first of all, you need to be really careful about what information you're putting into these systems.
Don't feed it anything you wouldn't want the whole world to see.
Right. And you also need to make sure that the AI system you're using has strong security protocols in place to protect your data.
So it's not just about being careful with your own data. You also need to make sure that the AI vendor you're working with is trustworthy.
Exactly. And then another risk to consider is the lack of algorithmic transparency.
What does that mean?
Well, some AI systems are kind of like black boxes. You feed them data and they spit out results, but you don't really know how they got there.
So it's like magic.
Sort of. And that can be a problem if you need to understand why the AI made a particular decision.
Like if it's making decisions about loan applications or hiring or something like that.
Exactly. If you can't explain how the AI arrived at its decision, it's hard to trust it.
And it could even be illegal in some cases, right? Like if you're using AI to make decisions that could be discriminatory.
Right. So you need to make sure that the AI systems you're using are explainable.
Meaning you can understand how they work.
Exactly. And then finally, you have risks associated with third-party providers.
Okay, so this is like if you're using an AI tool that's hosted in the cloud or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. If those providers have weak security protocols, you're basically inheriting their vulnerabilities.
So it's really important to do your due diligence on any AI vendor you're thinking about working with.
Absolutely. You need to make sure they have strong security practices in place and that they're compliant with all the relevant regulations.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot of risks here. It sounds pretty daunting.
It can be, but it's not insurmountable.
So what can SMBs actually do to mitigate the risks?
Well, the good news is that there are a lot of practical steps you can take.
Okay, so what's the first one?
Well, the first step is to take that risk-based approach that we talked about earlier.
Which means basically understanding the specific risks that are relevant to your business and then taking steps to mitigate those risks.
Exactly. It all starts with defining your specific business needs.
So like what are you actually trying to achieve with AI?
Right. Don't just adopt AI for the sake of it. Have a clear goal in mind.
Okay, so once you know what you want to use AI for, what's next?
Then you need to assess the sensitivity of the data that you're going to be using.
So like what would be the impact if that data was compromised?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that will help you determine the level of security you need to put in place.
Okay, then what?
Then you need to evaluate your implementation options.
So like, are you going to build your own AI solution, buy one off the shelf, or use a hybrid approach?
Right. And you need to carefully consider the security track record of any vendors you're thinking about working with.
And also think about where the AI is going to be hosted.
Yeah, like on-premises versus in the cloud. Each option has its own security implications.
Okay, so once you've done all that, then what?
Then you need to determine the appropriate security controls.
So like what specific measures are you going to put in place to protect your data and your systems?
Exactly. And those controls should be proportionate to the level of risk.
So you're not going to put the same level of security on a chatbot as you would on a system that's processing financial transactions.
Right. And you also want to make sure that your security controls are aligned with any relevant regulations or compliance requirements.
Okay, that makes sense. So what else can SMBs do?
Well, one of the most important things is to start small and scale gradually.
Sure. So don't try to do too much too soon.
Exactly. Pick a low-risk, high-impact project to start with, and then learn from that experience as you expand your AI capabilities.
And that will help you build confidence in your security measures as you go.
Exactly. And, another important thing is to make sure you have the right people in place. So, you need people who understand AI security.
Yeah, or at least who are willing to learn.
And you also need to make sure that everyone in your organization is aware of the risks and how to stay safe.
Absolutely. You need to have a culture of security.
Okay, so let's talk about some specific AI implementations that might be relevant for SMBs. Sure. So one of the most popular use cases is AI-powered customer service chatbots.
Yeah, those things are everywhere now.
They are, and they can be really helpful for SMBs because they can handle a lot of routine inquiries and free up your human customer service agents to focus on more complex issues.
And they can provide 24/7 support, which is great for small businesses that might not have the resources to staff a call center around the clock.
Exactly. But there are some security considerations with chatbots.
Of course. What?
Well, first of all, you need to make sure that the chatbot has limited access to sensitive customer data.
Right. You don't want it accidentally spilling the beans on someone's credit card number.
Exactly. And you also need to have clear escalation paths in place so that if the chatbot encounters a question, it can't answer. It can hand it off to a human agent.
Okay, and what about the quality of the chatbot's responses?
Yeah, you need to make sure that the chatbot is trained on accurate and up-to-date information.
And you need to make sure that it's able to handle a wide range of queries.
And you need to test it thoroughly to make sure that it's not giving out inaccurate or inappropriate information.
So it's kind of like hiring a new employee. You need to train them and make sure they're up to the job.
Exactly. Okay, so another popular use case for AI is content generation and marketing automation.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of tools popping up that can do things like write blog posts or social media updates.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing what AI can do these days.
But what are some of the security risks there?
Well, one of the biggest risks is that you could accidentally feed sensitive information into the AI system.
Like your secret marketing strategy or something?
Yeah, or internal financial data or anything like that.
So you need to be really careful about what data you're using to train these systems.
Absolutely. And you also need to make sure that the AI system you're using has strong security protocols in place to protect your data.
And you probably want to have a human review any content that the AI generates before you publish it.
Especially if it's something sensitive.
Right. Okay, so what about inventory management and demand forecasting?
Oh yeah, AI can be really helpful for that.
Like, it can help you optimize your stock levels and avoid stockouts,
Exactly. And it can even help you predict future demand.
which is super valuable for any business, but especially for SMBs that might not have a lot of historical data to work with.
Right, but there are some security considerations here too.
Like what?
Well, first of all, you need to make sure that the AI system is using accurate and reliable data.
Garbage in, garbage outright.
Exactly. And you also need to make sure that the system is properly configured so that it's not making decisions based on faulty assumptions.
So, like, you need to make sure that it's taking into account all the relevant factors.
Right. And you also need to have a way to override the AI's decisions if necessary.
Like, if you know there's a big event coming up that's going to skew demand.
Exactly. You don't want to be stuck with a warehouse full of unwanted inventory.
Okay, so what about administrative workflow automation?
Oh, yeah. AI can be a huge time saver for administrative tasks.
Like scheduling meetings or processing invoices?
Exactly. And there are a lot of great tools out there that can automate these tasks.
But what are some of the security considerations?
Well, one of the biggest risks is that you could accidentally automate a process that shouldn't be automated,
Like what?
like approving expense reports or something like that.
Oh, yeah. You wouldn't want the AI to just approve every expense report that comes in.
Right. You need to make sure that there's still human oversight for sensitive tasks.
And you also need to make sure that the AI system is properly configured so that it's not making any unauthorized changes.
Exactly. You don't want it going rogue.
Okay, so what about AI-enhanced cybersecurity monitoring?
Oh, yeah. That's a really interesting area.
So AI can basically help you detect and respond to cyber attacks faster.
Exactly. It can analyze huge amounts of data and identify patterns that humans might miss.
So it's like having an extra set of eyes on your network.
Yeah, but there are some security considerations here too.
Like what?
Well, first of all, you need to make sure that the AI system is properly trained.
So that it's not generating a lot of false positives.
Exactly. And you also need to make sure that it's able to keep up with the latest threats.
So it needs to be constantly learning and evolving.
Right. And you also need to have a plan in place for what to do if the AI system does detect an attack.
So you need to know who's responsible for responding and what steps they need to take.
Exactly. You don't want to just sit there and watch while your network gets hacked.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot of different AI implementations and security considerations.
Yeah, that's a lot to take in.
So what are some key takeaways for SMBs that are thinking about adopting AI?
Well, I think the most important thing is to remember that AI is a powerful tool, but it's not a silver bullet.
You still need to have a solid security foundation in place.
Absolutely. And you need to approach AI adoption with a risk-based mindset.
So understand the specific risks that are relevant to your business and take steps to mitigate those risks.
Exactly. And you need to be prepared to invest in the right resources, whether that's people, technology, or both.
And you need to be willing to learn and adapt as the AI landscape evolves.
Because it's definitely not going to stay the same.
So true. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today, but I think the main message is that SMBs don't have to be afraid of AI.
Yeah, it's definitely an opportunity, not a threat.
As long as you're smart about it.
Exactly. So as we wrap up here, I want to leave you with one final thought.
Okay, what's that?
If you're an SMB tech or cyber leader, What's the one thing you can do today to start your journey towards secure and beneficial AI adoption?
It's a great question, and I think the answer is simple. Start by having a conversation.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Talk to your team, talk to your leadership team, talk to your vendors, and start thinking about how AI can help you achieve your business goals while also protecting your data and your systems.
And remember, the AI landscape is constantly changing, so stay curious, stay informed, and stay ahead of the curve.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into AI security for SMBs,
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
and we'll see you next time.
See you later.